Hello, welcome. Number 4, P5 to V4 or VVVV. This time again, we continue on our journey guided by the amazing Coding Train and Dan Shiffman. Yeah, we're going to do number 4, Purple Rain. This going to be quite manageable, I think. Yeah, and we can add some fun effects. Let's see. So yeah, let's open the code. Let's get it quickly over. So what happens basically in the main sketch is we have a list of drops, and on start we create 500 drops and add them to the list. And on draw, for each drop, we execute the for function and the show function. And if we look inside of the drop object or class, in this case, we see that when the drop is created, there is a random X position assigned, random Y, random Z. And this Z is going to be kind of like a fake depth value because we're going to be just in 2D world. As we see here, there's no web GL or 3D assigned, so it's going to be just faked. So because the length of the drop is depending on the Z position, and yeah, the bigger the Z, the longer the length of the drop. And also the Y speed is depending on the Z position, so they are flying down slower and faster depending on the Z position, which gives like this three-dimensional effect. And in the for, we basically just add the Y speed to the Y, and we also, depending on the Z position, create a gravity value, and this gets add to the Y speed. And if the Y position is bigger than the height, we reset the Y position, so we reinitiate, like if the drop is on the bottom, in our case it is the height, but because we go from 0 to height. Yeah, if it's outside of the lower screen, it gets reinitiated at the top, and the speed gets, the Y speed gets remapped and assigned. And in the show one, we basically assign the thickness of the raindrop to the Y position, and then set stroke weight. The color is here, and then we just draw a line. So yeah, that's basically what's happening there. And let's see, this is just another one. We can put that there, bring it over here, and start with our first drop. So we create a drop record, so we can, I'll give it a big, and yeah, let's go inside of the drop and then make all this logic, and at the end it's just pretty simple, adding stuff together. Yeah, let me just shut this down. So yeah, let's begin. So we take this away. We start with X, create a pad, and with, whoa, that's big. With a middle click, maybe I zoom in a little bit. Yeah, with a middle click, assign the data type, float, and then copy it, whoop, Y, and duplicate it, and Z, and the other twos will then be relative to that, and then we can, with Control K, expose this. So on create, we add the random, but we will do this on outside. So we have this already, and what we can do then is, like, we take the Z and map it. We need it twice, and I'm going to use kind of like different values because I tested it before and it's just super fast with these values, and it's kind of like not working the best. So I'm just like using kind of like adjusted values. So we map from 0 to 0.2 for the input maximum, and for the output minimum, we click here and raise the precision. We can take 3, maybe that should work, and it's going to be 0.1, and here we actually take 0.01, and I would just, so we see the difference, change the precision here as well, and then store it into our Y speed. So we're basically doing this here. And then we just want to assign this to the create. So we see that this works already. Let's just make this a bit more organized. And then we need to do the length as well. So we take another map, we move it over here, and then we map it again from 0.2 to 0.1 and 0.15, and we then store that into length pad. Sign it again. Whoop, that wasn't on purpose. Click on the link, assign it to create, and we basically have everything here. So we can do, just that we know what's going on, like constructor. And then in the next, we want to do the for logic. So we type in Y to get the Y value and Y speed. And they get added together. We have this already. And then we create that kind of like gravity value. So we get Z and map it. And the values that we're going to use is from 0.2, and here we're going to use a really small value. Zoom out a little bit. Whoops. Click. Precision of 4, I think. And 0.8 should work. And then we want to add this to Y speed here. Add this together, and then we can actually, because what we're doing here, so we have done this bit basically creates the gravity value. We don't store that specially, we just pass it to the Y speed here. And because we set Y and Y speed here as well, we create an if region, because this is like if Y is bigger than high, and we store this value at the end. So what we need now is for Y, we can plug them in there already. And then what we want to save is Y. Click Y, connect this there, and Y speed, because we want to set Y speed here as well, and we set Y speed here. So we have this here, align this, beautiful. And the condition that we are checking is if Y is bigger than height. So we take the Y value and check for bigger, and here we set 1, and if it's 1 it triggers the if, and then everything inside gets executed. So we want to do this. What we're going to do is we set a random, and we need to activate the advanced nodes and do random from 2. And the range that we're going to use is -10 to -5. And here we remap the Y speed. So what we do here is we take a map again. We take the Z as the value that needs to get mapped. This is the output that goes in there. And then we take the values 0.2, and here we have really small values. So we can middle click on this and change the precision again to 4, and the same 4, and we also use the value 4 here, 0. You know what I mean, and same here. Whoa. Also 4, and we use 8. Alrighty, and then this is already assigned, so we now just need to assign the operation. So we select everything, right click, assign, and new operation, call it for, not fill, for. So yeah, this gets executed if we add the for operation here, method, and yeah, we just need final one, the show one. So again, we need z, a lot of z today, and map it to from 0 to 2, and the output is gonna be 1 to 3, or yeah, let's see, maybe we're gonna use this to yeah, we first have to, because we are using Skia for rendering the lines, we have to add the via Skia package. Then we add the stroke, because this is mapping the thickness, it's creating the thickness for the stroke weight. And we add this to stroke width. And then we already have that. And we want to draw the line. So we use the stroke as the paint parameter or input. And we also can already output it here. So hold down Control, get the output, right click, assign the operation, which is going to be show in our case. Doesn't want that. So we select everything again, click on and assign it again. And we need to set the x, the y position, and the combination of lang and y. So what we do is we take a vector to join, add it for point A, and use one for point B. And then we just can reference the x position, have it here, and the y position, have it there, which is like this first point. So it's like, yeah, one point basically creates like x and y, and the other one the other x and y, and then it draws the line in between these points. I guess that's, and then we need the x again, because the line goes like vertical, so it's the same x position. Then we basically just need to add to the y position the length of the line that is set, not assigned. Now we can do that. We go back to the constructor, and because this is automatically assigning the data type, which comes from here, and if we just want to be sure, we can just like middle click on the pad or on the len and type in the data type. This then fills it up, and what this does is, like, if I now type in len, it already doesn't, why doesn't it, interesting set. Ah, yeah, there was an empty space. Maybe that's the problem. So if I type in len now, yeah, now it's like already defined. And we can add it there, and that should be okay. State of could mutate runtime. Let's see if that's just. So we had a line. Don't really know what the error is. Let's see. Hope it disappears. Now we add the stroke. And at this stroke width. doesn't get written on the fly. Well, let's see what gets written on the fly or not. And now we can use a repeat area, and this allows us to basically create this for behavior. So we want like 500 times we create the drop, and then we output it and we store it into a pad of drops. So this is our list of drops. Here it already got the right data type, and then for each drop in drops we basically want to execute the fall and the show, but we first start with a fall. So for each we plug it into the splicer and then we type in fall. So we have that method, we output it, splicer again, and then we need to store it so the movement gets stored. So what's the problem there? Of drops. Ah, yeah, the problem is we need to assign this method to create, and now we get, because we can't store twice into the same drops. So this happens when the patch gets started, and then this happens on the update. Then we store the new position, and then we basically just want to basically just want to show the drop. We need to do the same again, surround it in a for each loop, insert via splicer, and output, instead of the state output, we output the layer, the splicer, and then we need a group spectral skier, and that needs to go into, oh, we start with a renderer. So currently you don't see anything. Let's see what's the problem. So they all like, because they don't have any random positions, so I would just do this really quick maybe, and then restart the patch. So we use a random from 2 again, float, and we do, whoop, put some space here, minus 1.5, 1.5, which is like 0 to width basically. And then we need another random, not another create, another random, and we set that to similar to inside. When they get reinitiated, minus 10, minus 5. And then we want to set a random float, a random z value. So we duplicate that again, and we go from 0 to 0.2. And now we can restart it with F9, and we don't see any. Ah, yeah, we do. Look, we already get a beautiful, colorful rain. That's not purple, but it's colorful. I guess the problem is, first of all, maybe give it a little bit more. F9 again. That's raining. Let's see what I did in the show. So that doesn't like stroke width, line paint. Enable them again. That is super weird. We have point A, point B. And then we do stroke. I think either I'm having a stroke or VVV has a stroke, but really weird. I don't know if signing the output helps, but new line. Do I have to? So this is an experimental version that I'm using, or a preview version. I don't know if that is the actual problem. Could be. Whoa. Well, that's cool. I like that. So we're already in the, whoa, we're already in the changing stuff phase or what? So yeah, if you want the normal behavior, we assign these points. I don't know, normally it would be like white. As you see here, we have white lines. So, but we're gonna maybe try this. No. Doesn't like we. What if I do color? No, wasn't worth a try. So you would, this is basically how it would work. So if you use the normal version, this would work, and then the length of the lines would be different. We have now silly bug. Let me see, can I get it on the other side? So if you play it with a normal one, you would see it like this. And then you could just change the color here with the color. Yeah, that would work. In my case, it doesn't. Let me know if you have questions. I can help you. I'll send you the right patch. Yeah, we now going experimental, I guess. I like this really. But we stay with that. And what we can do now is we take we have to install vl.try textureFX to expand it a little bit. What I always like to do, give it all why we're doing it. Whoa, yeah, that looks fun. So yeah, if you would basically also remap a little bit your values, you can get kind of like a waterfall. Could also be fun. But we now here, so we take skier texture and make a texture window. We find it there, and we basically get this, which is also nice and pretty. And yeah, we can have obviously a lot of fun. Maybe displace the rain a little bit by bubble noise. Ooh. Yeah, there's a magic. I have to stop this, otherwise yeah, maybe lower the frequency a little bit. It's not so, but we also can obviously like crazy. Nah, that's not so good. And then if we would add stopwatch. We basically use the stopwatch output to change the time, enable it, and now the bubble noise is changing. And yeah, we also can the contrast kind of like deciding a little bit how it's affecting. What else? We also could use create tunnel out of it. It's really fast though. Yeah, can do a lot of fun. Ooh, that's actually nice. That could be cool for like a nice projection mapping and rotate it. Yeah, from simple rain to like a kind of like racy visuals, obviously, then maybe give it a little bit more the usual feedback. Output it and use it as a input again, and play with a fader. The add effect is also not bad. I think I disabled it, yeah. And yeah, I mean, if we don't like the displays, this is also cool. But if we actually want rain, we obviously just take this to the side, maybe for later, then could plug it into the feedback, gives it a little bit more glowy effect. Yeah, I think that's okay for this time. Yeah, a lot of fun potential. I like this, and I like that. Nice. Yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if you have some questions or need some help. But yeah, see you next time. Thank you for watching.